Hello and welcome back to Pseudo Gameplay TV. My name is Pseudo, and today we're back looking at another character spotlight, this time around looking at Captain Marvel. Now you'll notice this team setup is very similar to the last video, but in this instance, it's a little bit different in terms of how they interact, as Captain Marvel has very different abilities in comparison with our last character, Captain America. Again, we are continuing through these characters alphabetically, as based off of the characters that are made available by the main story in terms of initial clears. Other characters can be purchased later as DLC or acquired as downloadable content at a future date. But we'll get to them when we've gotten through the main series characters, so you can know how they work as well. But for today, let's take a deeper look at Captain Marvel. Of course, this is the Carol Danvers rendition of Captain Marvel, and ties in very appropriately with her current standing in the MCU, as well as a very similar hairstyle to what we've seen as of recent in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For those who are not familiar with Captain Marvel, she is known mainly for her abilities of superhuman strength, speed, endurance, and stamina. Her abilities are that of energy projection and energy absorption, as well as the power of flight, which is something that carries over into her usage in the game, and we will showcase a little bit of today. In terms of the abilities that she has a couple of rather interesting uses. The first which being the Photon Punch, which is very similar, again, to other characters that we've seen, where the character rushes forwards and unleashes a punch. This can be aimed by holding the button that this ability is keyed to. The second ability is Cosmic Burst, which releases a large sphere of photon energy attacking in a radius. So more of an area of effect type attack, akin to some of the attacks we've seen that have grenades or other explosives, but localized from Captain Marvel herself. It's quite useful, and especially when you get in a pinch for clearing out some of your enemies. Now, the third ability that we have is Blast Off, which is a powerful spinning uppercut. This is similar in its use to an attack that Wolverine has, which we've showcased a couple of times in the Let's Play series. Again, shameless plug, please feel free to check that out if you haven't already. And her fourth and final ability is the Cosmic Beam. And this is a beam of photon energy that is released and can be continued to be used by holding the button. I believe it's directionally manipulable as well, but we'll check that as we actually get into the gameplay. We'll also showcase her ultimate ability as well, and allow you to decide if this is a character that you'd like to use on any adventures that you have going forward. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into one of the rifts and see what she's capable of. So we're back again at the same quest. I like using this one mainly because it has a decent variety of enemies that show up, and it's long enough that allows us to fully showcase each of the abilities without getting things over too quickly. So let's jump in here again and see Captain Marvel in action, shall we? Alright, so here we are in the middle of the action, and let's not waste any time in getting into Captain Marvel's abilities here. So, first, showcasing some of her light attacks, which is a flurry of punches that do go progressively in a line. Pretty simple to use. And then her heavy attack is an uppercut, which is good at knocking opponents back and up into the air. Of course, she has abilities that are a lot better in terms of clearing people out. And speaking of abilities, we'll have a look at those as soon as we showcase her aerial attack, which is a jump into the air and then a slam onto the ground. So this is almost a little better at using for clearing out large areas of enemies, as it has omnidirectional knockback instead of just a singular direction. So let's go ahead and use Captain Marvel's first ability, which is this punch that allows her to the Photon Punch, which allows her to zoom forward and knock enemies out of her way. Now this will knock enemies over if they connect with her, but it does take some time to charge, and do keep in mind you are vulnerable to damage or being damaged while that is taking place. Her second ability is her Photon Burst, or Cosmic Burst, which is a little bit more effective, I'd wager, at clearing enemies out of your way. And it is decent pressure to the stagger gauges for enemies. Like so. See, with just a few of those, we can knock out these large, heavy characters' stagger gauges and make pretty quick work of those opponents. Stagger gauges may vary by opponent. Now her third ability, which is Blast Off, is this uppercut, which you'll notice did take all of these opponents up with her. And it does decent attack damage even to characters who are blocking. And that is attack to their health, not attack to their stagger gauge, though it does a fair amount there as well. And the last one we'll want to look at is her Cosmic Beam, which, yes, as I had mentioned, is a directional attack. You can continue holding the button to use it, as well as angle it to better affect characters. Now, in terms of her ultimate ability, that would be as follows.
Taste raw cosmic power!
So an area of effect attack that allows her to suck in the opponents in the nearby vicinity. And then she does maintain this kind of cosmic power particle effect for a short duration afterwards. But Captain Marvel is quite fun to use and quite effective if given the right circumstances. She is an upfront brawling type character more than anything else, so not as much ranged capability as other fighters. But there's plenty of options that we have there in terms of what application she has and where else she can be used. Alright, let's go ahead and use her ultimate ability again. So yes, area of effect, and she can suck other opponents into the field of fire. And I quite like the particle effects that are present around her after using it. And that's going to do it for this segment. But I hope you enjoyed. Captain Marvel is a lot of fun to use. She's very effective. But let me know what characters you're excited to see. Feel free to leave a comment or like on the video. And be sure to subscribe for upcoming content. Until then, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.